Anime fans, so the first topic I'm going to discuss today is I watched that Pixar animated movie Elemental. Overall, I thought this movie was cute. It was fun, entertaining. Positives with this movie is that I did buy into the romance between the two characters, between the fire element and the water element. I thought they had, I bought into that romance in the movie. There was some funny parts in it. Animation was great, like all Pixar movies do. I thought overall the story was pretty decent. But one of the negatives about this movie I kind of felt like is that it felt like it had a lot of stuff going on. So I didn't feel like it gave like everything enough amount of screen time because you have like the immigration part of the story with Emma's family, with the Fire Elements family. You have the story part of it where she's being raised by her dad to take over the shop. So you have that part of it with the father's shop. You have the romance part of it with the wall element and the fire element getting together. And then you have this you have the stuff where she's trying to save the shop, and then like this other stuff at the end where she realizes that she doesn't want to own the shop, she doesn't want to follow her dad's dreams. So I just felt like this movie had a it was one of those things where I felt like this movie had a lot of stuff going on, and it just felt like they weren't able to give each thing enough screen time. So overall, it was like a very enjoyable movie. It's not great; like I wouldn't go back and rewatch it again. Like I said, not one of Pixar's best because of the fact they just felt like they didn't give like everything enough time, and it seemed like they tried to do too much in this movie with with all these different storylines. And then also another negative thing with the movie with this for me is that the wall element guy he kept like he has this thing where like the wall elements will like cry all the time. That kind of got repetitive to me at a certain point where I was like, just it's like one of those gags. I'm like, okay, it's not really funny anymore. Like it came kind of ridiculous to me where he would just cry like in almost every scene in this movie, the character. So that element of the Wallow character just kind of got a little repetitive personally for me. But yeah, overall enjoyable. I would recommend Elemental. It's not going to be one of my favorite movies of the year, but it's an enjoyable, nice, cute movie. Next thing I want to talk about is there's been an update on Wonder Woman 3. Now, I don't know what's going on. It seems like there's some miscommunication between Gal Gadot and James Gunn and Peter Safran because you have the previous article saying that Gal Gadot making it sound like James Gunn promised that she'll be around still as Wonder Woman movie, and you heard the news where it's like, oh, it won't be Wonder Woman 3, it'll be a rebooted Wonder Woman movie where it's her, but different version she's playing. And now a new article saying that's not true. It's not. Wonder Woman 3 isn't happening. I know James Gunn hasn't commented on it yet, so I don't know. I do believe this update article though because I just don't like I said in my past video. As much as I love on the wall, whether she comes back, whether she's coming back to play a rebooted version or some people had the idea, well, you can make Wonder Woman 3 a Elseworld movie. I just think bringing her back in any shape or form as a version of that character even would be a mistake. So I do believe this update that one. I do believe the update that 113 isn't happening. I do believe it's true. And honestly, like I said, James Gunn hasn't commented on the news, so until you hear from him and Peter Safran, I mean, I want to take it as confirmation that 113 isn't happening. But I do believe this article more than the first article about them moving forward with it because I think the way the old DCU's has been going, we've had the last 7 movies not even cracked 400, and just the DCU never completely clicked for people. I don't see a reason why you would bring her back and do a 113 with her as a character again. To me, if you're gonna do a reboot, you need to do a hard reboot right now, and that means cutting ties with anybody that was connected to the old DCU. So that's my personal thoughts on the news that 113 isn't happening. I believe it. I really doubt they're going to do a third movie with Gal Gadot. Because why would you connect it? Why would you bring it back? And also, Wonder Woman 1984 left a pretty bad stain. Like I'm not a big fan of that movie, and a lot of people didn't like it. And again, you're trying to restart a DC, trying to start up a new DC universe. I think we really want anything that's connected to the last thing that didn't do well. So that's just my personal opinion. Whether she's coming back or not is obviously until you hear James Gunn and Peter Safran make it clear. Which I think after Aquaman 2 comes out, I think they'll make everything clear about what is going on when it comes to who's staying, who's going. But I do believe this news, and I hope it's true. The next thing I want to talk about is David was saying that his cut of Suicide Squad, like he said, James Gunn has promised him that it will come out at some point. I do believe this. I think the fact that David has constantly talked about it, put pisses online, and I do, and James Gunn obviously is a comic book guy. He's a big director. I do believe that it will probably come out once James Gunn gets his DC universe started and he's had a couple of movies under his belt that have done well critically and financially. Then I do think you can release it at that point. I don't think you should release it now because it's just you have the whole. I just talked about how you have that whole Wonder Woman news going on. You still have Aquaman 2 to come out. And I just think right now it would not be a good time to release it. I think you gotta wait till like once James Gunn gets his DC universe going and it gets a couple of wins under his belt. Then I feel like you can release it at that point. But I do think at some point you will see it. I mean, James Gunn is a director too, so and it sounds like it sounds like they've talked about it. So I definitely think you will see it at some point. So I'm glad to hear that at some point we will see the Ayer cut. Because even though I didn't like the first Suicide Squad movie, and I think it's a hot mess, it's a movie that you can clearly tell got taken away from the director. I think they even like I heard a trailer music company like did the trailers for it. So that's why at times it feels like a music video of the movie. And you can just tell when you watch the movie, it feels edited in a weird way where it just feels like stuff's missing. So I'm happy that at some point we'll see it because I do want to see, like I said, even though I think the first Suicide Squad movie is terrible, and the standard cut of Blu-ray didn't fit that in my opinion. I would like to see what his original vision was for that movie. The next thing I want to discuss is the news that Kevin Feige has apparently. The report is that Kevin Feige has apparently met with Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine for Secret Wars, and I think there's an article saying rumor that he reached out to Andrew Garfield. I know there was rumors going around Tobey Maguire might be back. And I'll say this: with all these rumors of all these actors coming back for you've heard the rumors about like X-Men actors coming back for Deadpool 3. Do I believe that Kevin Feige has met with Hugh Jackman for Secret Wars? Yeah, I do believe it because it's a multiverse saga. And I think with Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, they're obviously going to be the last two Avengers movies. And I can see both of those movies having characters from like past versions of characters in those movies. But I can see him coming back. Do I think Hugh Jackman? This means I don't think this means Hugh Jackman will be the permanent Wolverine for the future. But I can see him sticking around for this particular saga, the multiverse saga, because it involves a lot of multiverse stuff. I'm guessing you're going to see multiple versions of different characters from like the Fox stuff. So I can see him being in those movies. I think it would be cool. He's beloved as Wolverine. He's the only actor that's ever played Wolverine. But I could see him sticking around for this saga, but I don't think he'll be the permanent Wolverine in the MCU after the multiverse saga. I could be wrong. Maybe this means he's sticking around permanently forever, the MCU. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But I can definitely see him popping up in the final two Avengers movies one last time. So that's all the topics today. Until next time, movie fans.